Sure, Indianapolis is home to some of the best motorsports racing in the world, like the Indianapolis 500 and the NHRA Nationals. But did you know that some of the best four-wheel drive entertainment takes place there as well? This week on Lucas Oil on the Edge, we're taking you on a half-hour ride of pure entertainment with the 4x4 Jamboree from Indianapolis, Indiana. Class 5 mud drags are kicking up dirt and putting on a show for the fans. Ken, Brian, and Rob are lucky enough to have a front row seat.
Got it tacked up, and if you get too close, you're getting cracked up. Stone cold when I roll, coming out of the hole. Get back, cause I'm out of control. I'm on the edge.
Welcome to the motorsports capital of the world. We're in Indianapolis, Indiana, for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Four-Wheel Jamboree Nationals, presented by Geico Power Sports. A couple of different categories we'll be watching here today. The mud drags, always exciting, and also some monster truck action. Ken Stout, Brian Olson alongside, and then also Mr. Rob Klepper will be down there in the dirt. And that's what we're going to start off with. These things are wild. Just as important to get them stopped as it is to get them going. With more, let's go to Rob.
The Class 5 Unlimited class is always fun to watch, especially here on the front stretch of the Indy Mile. Why? Right here, small block or a big block. The weights are a little bit different depending on what you have, but you can turbocharge it, you can supercharge it. Of course, you can throw the nitrous oxide to it as well. Much like the Class 4, 150-inch maximum wheelbase. They have these big tires up to 45 inches, 18-inch wheel maximum. That's the width of it. And of course, you got to have the DOT Veritrac tires are on the front. But the Class 5 get around here about 2 seconds, folks. A lot of power. Going to be fun to watch today.
We'll also have some Class 6 action a little later. They'll put the paddle tires on them, but these things are wild, Brian.
Chuck Cordy and the Mud Missile will start it off. Front tires seldom hit the ground, baby. Good run there to get things started off. 2.458 as we watch again in replay.
Just picks up the front end, carries it beautifully. I mean, nice and straight. That's the sketchy part for these guys, trying to get them to go straight. That is a picture-perfect run right there.
That really looked nice.
Of course, they're racing each other against the clock here and not side by side today.
Well, guys, here comes your current point leader, Jason Massey, out of the state of West Virginia. Has a 55-point lead, a pretty nice cushion coming into the finale here at the Indy Mile. He won at Lima, Ohio. He won at Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. Jason Massey going for the three-peat, the trifecta here in 2009 in Class 5.
Again, if they hang that front end just ever so gently in the air, like that, and barely can steer.
Now you know why they run them one at a time, too, man. The front end, look how far that front end falls out. You can actually see the limiter chains that he has on the front of it as he tries to keep that front end on the ground because these things want to flip over backwards. And that's a long, long ride, baby. He needed both lanes of the track.
Well, guys, I know you like a little attitude in your diet, so you're lucky. Up next, the driver from Botkins, Ohio, Mike Lane, national record holder in 130, 180, and 200 foot, 2.392 set back in 2004. Now, this is just the second time he's run. In 2009, he ran third in Lima, Ohio, but Mike Lane in attitude is always fast. We'll find out what this track has as he comes out next.
High center of gravity here, too, Brian.
Yeah, it's not like all the trucks and cars we've seen. Wow. That was a great run. I got to tell you, I think he may have shut the timer off with the back wheels.
Yeah, front end way up in the air, and I wonder if the shorter wheelbase, higher center of gravity is able to transfer a little more grip to those rear tires because it launches hard, picks up the front end, and carries it the entire distance.
Looked like he just got the front wheels down in time to trip those infrared beams and get a good ET.
It almost looks like they're lined up to the right side of the course, aimed to the left side. Jason Massey, it looks like he might have killed a cylinder in that thing right at the very end.
A lot of these drivers will look at the best part of the track and where they think their car will run the best. Great in-car shot as you look at the grandstands here at Indy. And Rob talked about here at the mile, a mile-long dirt track, very famous here in Indianapolis.
Oh, Joe Coolidge completely out the course. Out of bounds there, of course, will be DQ'd for that particular run.
You know what, Ken? I think he might have broken that thing as well. As you watch it hike the front end up, hits the center line cones, and then all of a sudden that baby's leaning pretty hard to the left. Now from our wheelie bar camera, great shot using up a whole bunch of racetrack and knocking down the cones, baby.
That wheelie bar never got used either, by the way.
No.
So I want to put that thing down a little bit. Wicked sensation, Mike Lane.
And that's his second race car, and that's the quicker of the two, 2:38.
And you know, I said something about putting the wheelie bar down. Watch what happens here. When they pick up the front end, they do it so violently. If the wheelie bar is down, what it will do is unload the back tires because it's so violent. So they will carry that wheelie bar way high just to keep them from flipping over backwards. Come on back, we've got plenty more. The On the Edge telecast is brought to you by Lucas Oil Products, made in America, sold to the world. Geico Power Sports, insurance for all things that move you. And by General Tire, unleash the fury. They've got the blade out here grooming the track for the National Mud Racing Organization here at the O'Reilly Auto Parts 4-Wheel Jamboree Nationals. 2 rounds, by the way, but you have to plan ahead if you want to run in round 2. You got to pay for both, and you have to do it before you make a decision for round 1.
Class 5, round number 2. Chuck Cordy comes up here with the mud missile. Well, that is a good-looking run there. 260. The reaction times are showing, but they're really pretty elementary, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody alongside of them, so they don't have to worry about losing on a reaction time. It's really about keeping it straight and true on the course, and, of course, putting the quickest lap you can in the process.
One of the straighter runs we've seen so far. As Dad's Dirty Bird.
Love it.
Mark Osteen. That is, man. It's a 55 T-bird in front of that thing.
Second rear engine vehicle we've seen. A little crankcase pressure in that one there, Brian.
Man, do you see that crankcase ventilation coming out the bottom? Watch the bottom toward the center section of the rear end there. It's a very good run. And as he gets down the far end of the racetrack, look at that stuff coming spewing out of there like a shook up can of beer, man. But that was a really good looking run for that 55 Ford lookalike.
Another rear engine, Todd James, the California Shaker. Almost doesn't need front tires on that one.
These things actually just kind of dance those front ends. And they actually got power to them, you know. I mean, they're for all intents and purposes, they're all-wheel drive, right?
I mean, that one lifted the front end so quickly that the tires are barely rotating.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess what's the point in having it that way? Mike Lane up again, and he's your leader right now with this car. 1 of 2, this is Wicked Sensation.
That is also the last lap of the day, and when you bring 2 cars, you bring them for a reason. It's because you want first and second, and that's exactly what Mike Lane is going to go home with. Wicked Sensation and Attitude both owned by him, and at the top of the General Tire final results board. Let's talk to him.
2005 champ Mike Lane went out under the lights here at the Indy Mile and laid down a time that almost beat your existing track record, man. Congratulations on the win.
Well, thank you very much. It was good to be here. We got the track in front of the grandstands. Made for an awesome race. Underneath the lights, it was nice.
Good way to close out the year, picking up the win as well for you.
Oh yeah, that makes it a whole lot more fun over the winter time if you go out with a win. So we're doing all right.
Don't go away. We told you we had monster trucks, and they're next.
It's time to switch gears as we leave the drag strip and exchange the paddle tires for the 66-inch tires that are secured to the crowd favorite monster trucks. In 1974, Bigfoot drove over cars in a field and arguably became the first monster truck to crush cars. The crowd is always on their feet for some destruction and racing, and we've got it all for you now.
Today inside the Indy Mile, if you're running a monster truck, this is where you want to end up. This is the finish line. And before you get to jump this, well, pretty blue Mercury, you have to start way over there at the start line. Now, it's a traditional style S course with a couple interesting turns. We start on the dirt, but in turn number 1, right in the middle of turn 1, we end up on the asphalt. You got another set of jumps off of turn number 1 before you head down on the asphalt now to turn number 2, a hard left-hander. One more set of jumps, and then you end up right here in finish lane, right in front of the big capacity crowd. This is where the fireworks go off, the champagne drops from the heavens, and you take home the big money.
Thanks, Rob. Here we go, round number 1 of monster trucks. Here's what the ladder looks like. The General Tire truck will receive a bye run right into the semis. first pair pulling up to the line.
Well, guys, here we go. High maintenance and Spike. Two trucks going out of round number one. Jocelyn Perrin, she is high maintenance. Scheduled to be in the left lane, and the driver's meeting was complaining she wanted to be in the right lane. High maintenance paid off because she will start on the right lane. Jocelyn Perrin and Spike going out of here round one.
Spike double clutches it. Jocelyn with a pretty nice looking multicolored machine there. Anytime you can make lime green look good, you're doing something right, Ken.
And Jocelyn's been doing this for a little while, so experienced driver here. Taking it easy on the asphalt.
This is the part with these big monster trucks that'll be the toughest. No doubt, is trying to turn these things on the pavement. I mean, they're just plain used to be run on dirt. Jocelyn takes the win.
And Green 57 has been competing for a long, long time. The man behind the wheel is seasoned veteran Jim Kohler and the Avenger, Mark Hall, on the far side with the Raminator.
Dodge versus Chevrolet, old body style, as Kohler makes that corner. And again, you can see how easy they make it around the dirt, Ken. Then you get on the pavement, makes it a little bit tougher to get the job done.
Kohler's always had a truck that was loose. It looks like it's fighting him a little bit there as he tried to sling it back. The right-hander to the left-hander, and the Raminator will take the win.
Dodge truck with the win, and I got to tell you, as Dan Rundy gets set to go, here's one of your more seasoned veterans, and we'll go on board with the Bigfoot machine.
The truck that started it all back in 1975. Bob Chandler, owner of Bigfoot. Oh, he hits a barrier. No doubt that will be a time penalty. Runty's been campaigning that truck for a long time. It's going to cost him here. The win will go back to the other side, and Jeremy Dishman.
Yeah, that is kind of an upset right there, if you ask me. The buy right here for Steve Kohler. He earned the buy by being the quickest truck in that General Tire machine.
Steve Kohler, driver of the General Tire monster truck. Steve, you've been driving these things for a handful of years, but your first full season behind the wheel. What's it like behind the wheel of one of these big bad boys?
Oh, there's nothing like a monster truck. You got 66-inch tires, 1,600 horsepower, obstacles. We're running over cars. They start cars on top of cars, dirt ramps. We'll hit it all. It just gets crazy out there.
Now, what are some of the things the fans going to see? Obviously, all four wheels get to turn, and it's pretty neat to watch these guys get around there.
Yeah, here in Indianapolis, they did an S-course. A lot of driver skill involved in an S-course. You can coming off of dirt onto concrete, back onto the dirt, hitting dirt ramps, hitting the cars. It's wild out there.
And of course, keep in mind they can steer with the back of these trucks as well. They do have rear steering. That rear steering is run by either the right or left hand, depending on how they prefer it inside of the truck. When they let go of the button, it comes back to center. It's very tricky.
Well, guys, as it continues to get darker and darker here at the Indy Mile, it's starting to spritz a little bit more than it was earlier today, so the track's going to change a little bit. Mark Hall coming up against Jocelyn Perrin, high maintenance. They're going at it here in round number 2. Mark Hall clinching the 2009 championship just by taking the green in round number 1. He picked up the win. Now he's in round 2. We'll see if he can make it all the way to the end.
The old Raminator. Oh, big hole shot there, Ken.
Jocelyn Perrin over there in that lane that she did not want in round 1.
Raminator making this baby look easy. Now the Raminator's on the longer part, if you will, of the pavement. The nearest lane to the camera is the longer part of the pavement, and that's why most drivers prefer the inside lane. Mark Hall takes it away easy here, though.
I think we know why Jocelyn didn't want that lane now. Steve Kohler here in the near lane with a General Tire truck.
Kohler, your number 1 qualifier, as a result, got the bye in round number 1. Comes here and takes on Ramunition as you go on board with Kohler here.
Loaded off the throttle right there. Not very smooth, though, and he's going to make a mistake. That'll open up the door for Ramunition. And Jeremy Dishman will go to the final.
I'd have to say that would be an upset there, Ken. I mean, you got to think the fastest truck's going to make its way to the final, especially with a bye in round 1.
So Raminator and Ramunition. We see a little pattern brewing here.
That's right. All Brothers Racing Incorporated. Now, a couple of Dodges. Mark Hall, Jeremy Dishman. Guy in the far lane owns both trucks. Hence the Raminator and hence the Ramunition. This is a good race here.
Trickiest part of the course, and it looks like Raminator got in a little bit of trouble right there. Oh, and now he's going to hit a cone. That'll end it up. So Jeremy Dishman, an excellent job, is going to bring home the win here in Indianapolis.
Hired Gun takes out the boss here in the final round. Watch it again in replay. Good even start. They go over the jumps quite well. Then watch both the front ends, Ramunition in particular. He puts weight on the nose by using those brakes so that when he gets on that pavement, he does have weight on that front end, and he can turn that truck, Ken.
And Mark Hole eventually hit a cone. That would be a time penalty, handing the win over to Jeremy.
Jeremy Dishman, man, it's starting to sprinkle here even more and more, but talk about going up against your teammate for the win here at Indy.
Oh, today's been great. Anytime I race Mark, I got to bring my A game, and this track's so slick. This is our backup truck. I'm not really familiar with it, but it's a good old piece. And Mark, he's been doing this for 20 years, so anytime I can get my 8 years of experience after him, I'm going to chase him down. Last 4 years, Sunday's been my day, so keep you going.
Jeremy Dishman, guys, wins on Monster Trucks here at the Indy Mile.
Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll put paddle tires on them and hopefully keep them lit better than that.
The weather can either be a blessing or a curse on race day, and it looks like the Class 6 mud drag drivers got the short end of the stick, as a downpour happened right before they were set to begin. Strategies, setups, and driving style will have to be adjusted in order for the drivers to get the most out of their vehicles and keep their chances of winning in reach.
Well, this is the 200-foot mud drag strip that we are tackling today with the Class 6s. Now, they brought 150 loads of clay into the Indy Mile, and they had to compensate for the bank here on the front straightaway. They had to put about a foot of dirt down on the left side and about 3 feet down to make it nice and even, because we all know these things are won at the start. We had a chance to talk to a lot of the drivers back in the pits earlier today about what they thought the rain's going to do to this track.
It's sticky a little bit further out. It's real slick on the starting line, so they don't want to get out of the hole real good.
If we do get some heavy rain with this dirt consistency, it's going to turn to slimy grease.
A bunch of bite, as long as we can keep rubber side down, we'll be fine.
It's just on the borderline of being too soggy. If we get any more moisture, it's going to go away, and it's going to be a really hard track to read, so let the best driver win.
Well, and he's been the best driver so far as he's leading in the points coming into this event. Dan Richter, the Richter scale.
And one thing about it now, we moved to Class 6. This is the paddle tire category. So if you do want a track to go away, you want it to happen during the paddle tire class. And it didn't help. The paddle tires didn't help Richter out much at all. Watch this thing. We heard Rob Klepper say earlier that we had to add a lot of dirt, a lot of clay to this thing and level it out. Even in Class 5, they were sucking towards the middle. The same happened here for Dan Richter.
The Richter scale has run. Dan Richter, first guy on the track here today in Class 6. What was it like out there?
Track is real nice. Unfortunately, being the first car out, you don't know exactly what to do with it or where it's going to go. And I drifted a little bit to the left. I had to get out of it, bring it back to the right. But nice track, running good.
Up next, Bobby Cross and the Deuces Wild. Oh, that was done. Are they supposed to smoke like that, Brian?
Not at all, Ken. This is one of the nitrous oxide-fed machines, and if your timing is off just a little bit, in whatever situation was, the timing obviously was off there, because I think he wanted that nitrous to kick in a little bit further down track.
Todd Franklin, Hillbillies on alcohol. No doubt referring to the methanol that they're running through the power plant. Unfortunately for him, he had to get out of the throttle as he also got out of bounds. And you said it before, we keep seeing these guys going to the left. So unfortunately for them, they're having a difficult time staying straight.
It's like a magnet drawing them to the center line. I mean, I don't know exactly why. And if I'm back there and I'm watching that again, I don't want to be an armchair quarterback. I'm going to do what this guy's doing.
And Mike Lane, who won first and second place in Class 5.
He's marked himself clear to the right side of the lane. So worse than if he goes straight left. Woo! Man, what a ride.
You can do that right
Look at the number, baby.
2.21 seconds, front end up in the air. He needed the entire lane because it went to the left, but he hung on.
Did exactly what he wanted to do. It shoots straight left, front end hanging high in the air, and look at it. Still 5 feet from the cone right there at the finish line in a 2:21.
Wild. The On the Edge telecast is brought to you by Lucas Oil Products, made in America, sold to the world. O'Reilly Auto Parts, great prices every day. And by General Tire, unleash the fury. Welcome back to Indianapolis, Indiana for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 4-Wheel Jamboree Nationals presented by Geico Power Sports. This is Class 6, Round 2 of the NMRO.
And we just watched the Mike Lane machine go clear to the right, Ken. Oh, and Chuck Gordy, I'm not so sure, but it looked to me like right at the finish line. Well, watch again on replay. Looks like he catches the finish line cone there.
Oh, he sure did.
Oh, he did, and that's a DQ run.
He is the current points leader coming in as well. Todd James of the California Shaker is next.
He does the same as what Mike Lane did. He gets far to the right so that if this track or your machine pulls you far left, you can likely to be past that 200-foot mark. Oh, man!
Hang on to her, big dog. Todd James, 2.5 seconds to get down through there, on and off the throttle. That one kicked back to the right on him. He's like, what?
He went 300 feet to get a 200-foot elapsed time slip, man.
Whoop! That left front tire was just not even rotating there at the beginning.
Oh, that would be a fun ride here. Here comes Mark Osteen and Dad's Dirty Bird, another rear engine machine. Wow! What a ride, baby!
That's why they put the wheelie bars on him right there. Because if it did not have a wheelie bar on it, that one was going over backwards.
Guaranteed. Look at how high that thing is in the air. He grabs a hold of it, hits the cone, but he still will get a lapse time slip for the run.
So your winner here with our Geico Power Sports final results is the Wicked Sensation.
The 2005 Class 5 champion, now a winner in Indy in Class 6, but you did it in convincing fashion. 221 with an O, a new track record in 200 feet, man. Congratulations, Mike.
Well, thank you. Well, we had a pretty good track. We got down the right side. Nobody went down that side. We got away with a pretty good run there, so we did all right.
We hope you enjoyed this exciting edition of Lucas Oil on the Edge. For Ken Stout, Brian Olson, and Rob Klepper, I'm Angela Jenkins. Log on to speedtv.com and link over to newwavetv.com where you can check out all the upcoming OTE events. Remember, you're not living unless you're on the edge.